Hello learners, hope you are all doing good. In our previous module on functions, we saw how to write user defined functions in Python and how to pass arguments to the function. We have also explored the scope of the variables in Python. At the end of that module, we have just listed the different options for passing arguments to the functions. This module focuses on those options in detail. Can you recollect the different options for passing parameters? The options are required arguments, keyword arguments, default arguments and variable length arguments. First, let us see about required arguments. Required arguments are the arguments that are passed to a function in correct positional order. Here, the number of arguments in the function call should exactly match with the function definition. All the functions what we wrote in our previous module took only the required arguments. Just to recapitulate, let us write an example function using required argument. This example is to check whether a given number is a prime number or not. Here is an example for required arguments. It is mandatory to pass these arguments. In the example shown, we pass the number to be checked as an argument. The argument is received in the formal argument NO. Following the def line, we have the logic for checking whether the given number is prime or not. In the main, we just invoke the function by passing the number to be checked. Now, run and see what is the output. So, as you can see, based on the input, you are getting whether the number is prime or not. Here we define a function named prime that takes an argument. The argument is the number to be checked. This is a mandatory or required argument. Okay. Now, let us see the next type, keyword argument. In addition to mention the parameters in order, you can mention the keyword arguments in a function call, in which the caller identifies the arguments by the parameter name. When you use keyword arguments, you can write the parameters out of order, because Python interpreter will use these keywords to match the values to the parameters. See an example over the console. So, here is an example. We have keyword arguments. In the first call to the print details, we just have string and age as arguments. This is not actually keyword arguments, but in the second call and third call, we explicitly mention the argument name and age as keys with certain values. These keys and the name of the formal arguments should match. See what is the output you are getting. Then, shall we see about default arguments? A default argument is an argument that assumes a default value in the function definition if a value is not provided in the function call for that argument. That is, default argument is the one that takes default value if no argument value is passed during the function call. You can assign the default value using the assignment operator, that is equal to operator. Default values indicate that the function argument will take that value if no argument is passed during the function invocation. Shall we see an example? So, here you can see an example for default arguments. The simple interest takes 3 arguments. The first 2 are required or mandatory arguments. Following that, we have an optional default argument. In the main, we read principal, year and rate. During the first call to the simple interest, we pass all the 3, that is principal, year and rate. And during the second call, we just pass principal and year. Just run and see what you are getting. If you do not pass year, rate of interest, the default value will be taken. While using the default arguments, do remember that if there are some mandatory arguments for the function, they should appear first. Following the mandatory arguments, we can have any number of default arguments in the function definition. But once we have a default argument, all the arguments to its right must also have default values. This means we should not blend mandatory and default arguments. Finally, we have variable length arguments. Variable length arguments are useful when we do not know that exact number of arguments that will be passed to a function, or we can have a function where any number of arguments can be passed based on the needs. See the console for syntax of using variable length arguments and an example. Here you can see an example of variable length arguments. Star var args represent that the arguments are variable length. During the first call, 4 arguments are passed and those 4 arguments are printed in the function. And during the second call, we pass only one argument and that one argument alone is printed in the function. During the third call, we pass 3 arguments. So, this is how we can pass variable number of arguments. Let us now run and see what is the output. So, during the first call, we pass 3, then 1, then 3 arguments. The asterisk is placed before the variable name that holds the values of all the variable number of arguments. Note that you might use any name instead of star var RGS. So, star var RGS means any number of positional arguments. Another form of using variable length positional argument is, instead of positional arguments, we can also use variable number of keyword arguments. For using so, give double asterisks instead of single asterisks, which means variable number of keyword arguments. Keyword arguments can be treated like key value pair, hence they are somewhat similar to dictionary. Recall the data structure, dictionary and the methods that can be applied on a dictionary. As the keyword arguments look similar to dictionary, the dictionary methods such as items, keys, values can be applied on the keyword arguments too. To mention the variable number of keyword arguments in the function definition, use double star followed by any name. Double star means any number of keyword arguments packed like dictionary. Let us work out one example for variable number of keyword arguments. Here you can notice that instead of single star, we have double star, which means variable number of keyword arguments. Keyword arguments can be treated like key value pair, hence they are similar to dictionary. So, here we use the methods of dictionary to access the keyword arguments. In the first call, we pass 2 keyword arguments, namely age and name. In the second call, we pass 3 arguments, name, ID and department in different order. Based on the number of argument, the function is called. with that many number of arguments, and the arguments are received in KWARGS. Let us now run and see the output of this script. As you can see, based on the number of arguments, the output is obtained. Clear? By now, you would have realized that how to pass arguments and also options for passing them. Now, let us turn our attention into lambda functions. The lambda keyword in Python helps to create a shortcut for declaring small anonymous functions. What is an anonymous function? In Python, an anonymous function means a function without a name. As you already know that def keyword is used to define the normal functions, and the lambda keyword is used to create anonymous functions. Lambda function can be defined using the syntax shown on the console. So, here you can see the syntax for lambda function, lambda keyword lambda followed by the arguments, and following that we have the expression. So, we can use the lambda functions whenever function objects are required. So, lambda functions are syntactically restricted to single expression. Now, let us look at an example for defining and using lambda functions. Here we can see different ways for writing lambda functions. First, we have defined a lambda function that takes an argument and returns the square to a underscore square object. Then we have a print statement. In next print statement, we have invoked the lambda function directly by passing an argument to it. Next, the value returned by the lambda function is assigned to a variable and that variable is printed. See the output of this script over the screen. So, we have multiple ways for defining and using lambda functions. Now, let us look at an example and try to understand the difference between a normal function and a lambda function. Declare a function with def keyword to find the square of a number, as you can see over the console. So, here you can see how a normal function that calculates the square. We have defined a function a underscore square with one required argument. The function calculates and returns the square of the number. In the calling script, we have read the input from the user and call the function by passing the input as an argument, and the result returned from the function is printed on the screen. Run and see this, what output you are getting. Both normal function and lambda function square the given number and returns. Then what is the difference? While using def, we have defined a function with the name a underscore square and needed to pass a value to it. After execution, we also needed to return the result from where the function was called using the return keyword. But while using lambda function, lambda definition does not include a return statement. It always contains an expression which is returned. We can also put a lambda function anywhere a function is expected, and we do not have to assign it to a variable at all. This is the simplicity of lambda functions. Now, you might be wondering what is so special about lambdas. After all, it is a simplified version of declaring functions with def. What is the big thing about it? Observe the console. Here what you see is how to write lambda function at the interpreter prompt itself. So, we have defined a lambda function which returns square. Okay. What did we do here? We have defined a lambda function to find the square of a number inline and then immediately called it with argument 5. So, here the lambda expression lambda x colon x int x is same as declaring a function with just we have written inline. The difference is the lambda function is not bound to a name like a underscore square as in our earlier case. We have directly stated the expression which we wanted to compute and then immediately evaluated it by calling like a regular function. There is a difference between lambdas and regular functions. Lambda functions are restricted to single expression. This means lambda function cannot use statements or not even a return statement. Lambda forms can take any number of arguments, but return just one value in the form of an expression. They cannot contain commands or multiple expressions. How do we return values from lambdas then? Executing a lambda function evaluates its expression and then automatically returns its results. So, there is always an explicit return statement. That is why some programmers refer to lambdas as single expression functions. Why to use lambda functions? The power of lambda can be illustrated if you use it as an anonymous function inside another function. Consider a function that takes one argument and that argument will be added to another number. Watch the console for this example. So, here we use the function definition to make a lambda function that always add a value to the number you send in as argument. During the first call to add with 10 as argument, the function returns the lambda expression n colon n plus 1 to add one object. During the second call to add, the function returns lambda expression n colon n plus 10 to add 2 objects, and similarly for add 3 objects. The print statements now invoke the lambda function with 1, 2 and 3 arguments. When 1 is passed, lambda function now becomes 1 plus 10 and returns 11. Similarly, in the second print statement, the lambda function is invoked with 2 and the result returned is 12 and so on. Run and see what output you are getting for this lambda function. So, for the first call we got 10 as answer, 11 as answer, and for second 12, and for third we got 13 as answer. Well, in our previous module we discussed about the use of return statement. Just try to recollect how can we use return statement. Return statement is used to return a value from the function to the calling script. If we do not want to return any values back to the calling script, then return can be omitted. The return statement exits a function, optionally passing back a result to the calling program. A return statement with no arguments is same as return none. So far, we have written many scripts with return statement. In all these scripts, the return statement has returned only one value. But do you think it is possible to return multiple values from a function? Yes, in Python, a function can return more than one values also. Let us see how to return multiple values. So, in this example, we have defined a function that takes list as argument. The list has set of elements among which we want to find the biggest and smallest element. We have a code for that. Then in the calling script, we have created a list and pass it as an argument to min-max function. In the function, we find the smallest and biggest element in the list. The smallest and biggest values are returned using return statement from the function. Just note how we return multiple values from the functions. As we return two values from the function, we receive those two values in the calling script in two variables, namely max and min. Then we print the biggest and smallest values in the list. Run and see the output of this script. Hope you would have understood how to return multiple values from a function. What is next? Any guesses? Yes, if you had already undergone any programming language course, you can immediately tell what is missing under function. It is recursion. What is a recursion or recursive function? Recursion means a function can call itself. Recursion is a common programming concept. Since it can be quite possible to fall into writing a function which never terminates or one that consumes a huge memory or processor power, you should be very cautious when recursion is used. Shall we try an example using recursion? So, here is an example for recursion. A function is said to be recursive if it calls itself. We call the recursion underscore sum from the caller and pass the number up to which we would like to find the sum. In the function, we have a statement that helps to avoid infinite running of the function. So, if n reaches 1, 1 is returned. Otherwise, we find the sum up to n minus 1 and add it to n. To find the sum up to n minus 1, we again call the recursion sum which adds n minus 1 to sum up to n minus 2 and so on. This is repeated till n becomes 1. Once n reaches, the function returns 1. All the previous calls are resumed in the reverse order of calling. Once the first call is reached, we return the sum to the main script and print the result. Run and see the output for this recursive function. Okay, fine. Hope you have got sufficient stuff about functions in Python. We have come to the end of this module. Let us summarize the concepts discussed in this module. In this module, first we saw the different options for passing arguments with examples, namely required arguments, keyword arguments, default arguments and variable length arguments. Coming to lambda functions are single expression functions that are not given names, that is, they are anonymous. Lambda functions cannot use regular Python statements and always include an implicit return statement. Then we got into recursion. A recursive function is the one that calls itself. But remember that if you do not handle properly, a recursive function may lead to infinite execution. So, user defined functions help to decompose a large program into small segments, which makes a program easy to understand, maintain and debug. Thank you all. Let us see again in another module. Have a great day.